Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and today we're looking at the Wheezy 120. This is a Tier 9 Chinese medium tank. It's basically a T-54 clone that is upgunned. It has a wonderful gun with 440 alpha, 249 penetration. This is the gun of a heavy on a T-54, and yes, that is just as amazing as it sounds. The tank is incredibly mobile, it has awesome camo, and a tough frontal turret. The downsides to the tank, it has -3 degrees of gun depression, that's just not a lot to work with, and it also has a huge aim time and not the best bloom ever. Because of the long aim time and the large reticle bloom, you typically want to be in either very short-range brawls or you want to be in long-range engagements. So that spot where I was is the typical medium area, and it's just not working for me. I had problems depressing my gun over the hill, and so I moved up behind this rock to kind of fake gun depression. So the slope, you'll notice, is pointing my gun down. And that's a typical trick that you have to use with the Chinese tanks, is you have to use the surroundings to point your gun where you want it, because the gun just can't do it on its own. As you can see, I'm having difficulty being useful in the game. I want to scout, I want to peek over. There's a tank right in front of me, and with 440 alpha, I really just want to peek over and just put a round into his face, but I can't. And so I'm content to kind of wait it out here. This is, for the most part, an already safe location. There are going to be some tanks, you can see them in the ravine, and there are going to be some tanks around B2-ish that I can shoot when they get lit up. I'll cut away to more interesting action in a moment. I just think it's very valuable to show this part, because you have to realize sometimes you can't force the action. If I tried to force the action like I'm doing now, I'm just trying to scout. But peeking over that ridge, you really have to expose yourself a lot. And the frontal armor is not that amazing. It's going to bounce some shots just due to angles. The turret is very strong frontally. But overall, I would have to expose myself too much due to the lack of gun depression. So in the Wheezy 120, you want to brawl. First and foremost, you want to peek-a-boom at close range. That makes your downside of gun depression and aim time a lot less significant. Or you want to snipe at long range. So this is kind of the worst map for me. I cut out a couple minutes where I'm just kind of sitting around and sniping and doing not a whole lot. The situation is now we're in the middle game, and the east side, if you look at the minimap where I am, my teammates, who used to be so numerous over here, have over-pushed and gotten themselves killed. A Lorraine comes to YOLO me because there's just nobody else around, and I need to make a speedy retreat. However, I take a lot of damage in the process. I have to burn both my repair and my med kit, otherwise I just wouldn't live. And so now we have a slight advantage, but this game is far from over. The bad news is that I am a one-shot to anything around me. The good news, we're in an end game, and the Wheezy 120's excellent camo and brawling abilities really shine in an end game. That's why I wasn't risking myself too much in the early or mid game, because I wanted to get to an end game. I knew that early game I couldn't force a brawl, I couldn't really participate in long-range sniping too much, and I wanted to be in this exact situation. So I got spotted. We do know that they have the east side all to themselves. My teammate goes out in front of me as I can offer supporting fire, but I don't want to be in the front since I'm a one-shot, and I went over a little ridge and further damaged myself, just to make it harder, I think. Being low on HP probably forced me to play this tank more correctly for the map, as I couldn't force a brawl, so I probably shouldn't have been that far forward, but now that I have less hit points, it's forced me more into a sniper position, offering supporting fire. When you're this far back from the action, it doesn't matter how long your aim time is, because nobody can see you until you fire, so you can aim while you're invisible, and then shoot and duck back into cover. The difficulty at this point is my location is definitely known to the enemy. Even some artillery splash could get me killed. And they decide to play the big bad wolf and blow my house down. And I have to make a decision, and generally that decision is going to be run away. While I'm backing away from the house, I decide to point the front at the enemy, and I'm also trying to put the last remaining bit of house in between myself and the enemy. Luckily, artillery takes out 2 guys with 1 shot. At this point in the game, that is pretty huge. I'm going over to support my teammate. What's going to happen is I want to have my teammate eat a shot or bounce a shot, whatever, bouncing is preferable obviously, and then move to brawl. Once I get behind the enemy, it's very difficult for them to spin around because of the great mobility of the Wheezy 120. I'm probably a little too aggressive as I move up this hill, however I am very confident in the tough turret, which offers a ton of protection. So the enemy, that's the first thing you're going to see, is the hardest part of my tank, and in danger I can back down the slope. The tank, when you're in close range, snapshots relatively well, as I'm just able to put some damage into the JT without him retaliating. I want to move into a situation that I can help now that my teammate took some damage. However, he actually dies to artillery. I'm left alone with the JT and things look bleak. The JT misses his shot, as do I, and he overexposes himself, and here's the opportunity. Get in behind him. Just very smooth with the acceleration for the Wheezy 120. Artillery endangers my life here a little bit by killing the JT, but it all comes out good, and now we're going to have to close that game out. We're down to facing just artillery and a low, and the Wheezy 120 with the solid view range. I do have it set up with optics, and it does have the increased view range crew skills. The excellent camouflage on the Wheezy 120 is a great asset to have in a late game. I pinged the map. The last I saw of the low, he was around B2, and so I'm going to move up the east side and hope that I can catch artillery completely off guard, and then I can spot the low for my artillery. I cut out some uninteresting travel time, and it looks like I'm just YOLOing in there. However, since I know the low is in B2, artillery I want to keep moving so when he does spot me, I can quickly get into cover. However, I'm actually going to spot him, and I'm looking and noticing that he's not moving. And since he's not moving, I'm just going to sit here. He also does not have sixth sense. So I'm just going to let artillery aim in, kill him, and then go on about my life. Since I am a one-shot to the low, I didn't want to expose my position just in case the low would be able to get a shot off on me if he's able to view the area where I'm at now, or if he's able to see me coming. I just don't want to risk it. I want to play it exactly safe. We have still a couple minutes left, and I do spot the low. He has his turret pointed away from me, and so I'm going to take a shot at him. However, I'm going to bounce it off of the turret. It's all good though because artillery gets the top gun on it. I think the Wheezy 120 is highly underrated. Even though it shares a lot with the T-54, it is its own beast. It's highly fun and effective. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.